This is a $1,000 card, but it's illegal. From cards that make you play for days, to cards that make you instantly win, to cards that make you draw too. Today we're gonna rank these illegal cards from banned to busted to straight up broken. And our first card on this list is Unknown from Pokemon Lost Thunder. And while he's the least crazy on this list, he is definitely far from normal. With a 110 damage attack and the HP of a baby, this card is garbage. Its ability, however, is not. This card has two versions, hand and down. If you have 35 cards in your deck or have 66 damage counters on your Pokemon and then play him into the active spot, you win the game. So the card was banned because of the instant win condition and nothing else, because let's be honest here, the card is pretty trash. In addition to that, it was also banned because it's just about as fun as a little game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the video, we will be putting Pokemon Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Packs to see which of the ones can get us the most banned cards or the best pulls. And it gets crazier the more we go on, so stay tuned for that. Next up, we have Skull Clamp from Magic the Gathering Darksteel. This card is one that you attach to a creature or such that gives the creature +1 attack and -1 toughness or HP. This is a fairly normal card, but if the monster dies, you get to draw 2 cards. Now to a child, this may seem fine, but keep in mind, unlike Pokemon, in Magic, there's no limit to how many monsters you can put out to fight. More cards equals more damage, which equals more wins, and in turn gets more Magic players to quit and touch more grass. And speaking of grass, the grass look screener from Yu-Gi-Oh! Raging Tempest makes you discard your deck. The card says that if you have more cards in your deck than your opponent, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, also known as your discard, until you have the same number of cards as your opponent. Why would you want to discard cards though? Well, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There are a lot of playstyles that thrive off of discarding cards to the graveyard just to bring them back into play with even more power. That being said, this card can quickly fuel the fire of a discard deck, giving you massive numbers, as well as making your opponent want to pull a Pokemon and just collect the cards for fun. Oh my God. And speaking of Pokemon, the next card is Forest of Giant Plants, and like the name suggests, you need a good forest worth of grass types to run this card. The card allows you to evolve grass Pokemon their first turn on the bench. This allows you to get strong evolved Pokemon right off the bat, making it hard for your opponent to counter, as they would have to evolve their Pokemon the normal way, taking 3 whole turns. And since this is a stadium, this applies for the whole game. And before you know it, that little buddy who smiled doesn't seem so innocent anymore, does it? And for our first pack opening of the video, we're gonna be opening up a Magic Caldeem pack. This set has 2 potential banned cards to be pulled, so let's try our luck. And starting off with the first of 2 Magic packs, we are definitely pulling Magic cards. I really don't know much about them, but hey, they look cool at least. So far, it doesn't look like we're pulling any banned cards so far, but oh look, a holo. And going on to the next pack, this one's gonna be more of a speed round because we just want to get through this. The cards we're looking for again are Alrund's Epiphany and Faceless Haven. Now we're approaching a rare, and yeah, it's just a holo, but that holo is gonna put Magic at a $5.73, keeping the lead for now. And while we didn't pull anything out of this pack, it just gets crazier from here. Next up, we have Puzzle of Time from X and Y Breakpoint, and it was banned because of a lack of creativity. Puzzle of Time has multiple effects based on the number of cards you play. Play one of these cards and it allows you to look at the top 3 cards in your deck and put them back in any order. If you use 2 cards, however, you can put 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. Well, this seems pretty normal, right? So why is it up here with all these godlike cards? To start off, the fact that it was an item made it so that it could be played over and over so long as you had multiple in your hand. This versatility made the card stale super quick because everyone was running it in their deck at the time. The Pokemon Company, specializing in creativity, decided that this card was up to their stale standards and decided to take it off, ironically, for lack of creativity. And the next card is the first card from the infamous Magic the Gathering Power 9, and that is Ancestral Recall. Ancestral Recall is a card that is relatively simple. For 1 water mana, which is like Pokemon energy but used to summon cards to the field for you infants, you can draw 3 cards. But again, how can drawing 3 cards be so broken? Well, more monsters means more damage, and if your opponent doesn't have the cards to defend against them, it will offset the balance of cards, giving the user of Ancestral Recall a massive advantage. So you know that transformation a butterfly does? You know, the one where it goes from an ugly, weak, and pathetic caterpillar to a beautiful, gorgeous, heart-stopping butterfly? If you do, congrats, you're a loser. But consider yourself lucky because this metamorphosis also can be seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Metamorphosis from Yu-Gi-Oh! Pharaonic Guardian is a card that allows you to sacrifice a monster to summon another. The catch is that they have to be of equal level. Now this may seem semi-useful, but not a completely broken card. The thing is, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Not all monsters are created equal. You see, there's certain monsters that can only be summoned through specific setup. And with this card, you can bypass any time-consuming setup and just go straight to the OP big bull. And regular summon monsters are by no ways equal to extra deck monsters, so the card was banned because it eliminated the thing that made the game balanced. And now's the time to open another pack, and this time around we're going to be opening up Yu-Gi-Oh! Raging Tempest. This set contains 3 banned cards and 3 restricted cards, so we have a pretty good chance of getting a hit here. And luck was surely on our side because we did in fact pull a rare, but no banned or restricted cards for the first pack. And on the second pack, things weren't looking too up, and then
Zodiac Rat Pier?
Is that?
It's a limited card.
Whoa! So while we didn't pull a banned card, we did pull a restricted card, and with that last booster, valued Yu-Gi-Oh! Up to $6.97, making it take the lead. And up next on our list is Pot of Greed, one of, if not the most infamous Yu-Gi-Oh! Card ever made. And Pot of Greed does what exactly?
First, I'll activate my Pot of Greed card. This allows me to draw 2 cards.
Damn, I guess I forgot. Pot of Greed is a very simple card, but an effective one. The ability to draw 2 cards for no cost is just really broken, and it makes the card absolutely worthy of a ban. Next up, we have Time Walk from the first Magic the Gathering set. This is a card that, well, makes you take an extra turn. No other secondary effect, no nerf, no nothing, just plain and simple. For a blue mana and a colorless mana, which again is used to summon and use cards, you can get a full extra turn, complete with an attack and drawing phase. Its secondary effect is to make Magic players quit, and the amount of incels it has converted into normal functioning human beings, it cannot be understated. Our next card was a staple of its time, and that is Shaman EX from X and Y Roaring Sky. This card used to reign supreme in the TCG until it was banned in 2020. His ability states that when he goes from your hand onto your bench, you can draw until you have 6 cards. This is really good for basic, as it can freshen up your hand pretty quickly. His attack also made him go back to your hand, refreshing the process. But that isn't why he got banned. The reason why is because they introduced a new card called Scoop Up Net, and this could pluck Shaman straight out of your bench onto your hand instantly. With this item, it made it really easy to abuse Shaman EX's setup ability, and therefore got him banned. And our next card is one that rewards the player for just simply playing the game. And that card is Card of Safe Return from Yu-Gi-Oh! Labyrinth of Nightmare. This card allows you to draw a card whenever you bring back a monster from the graveyard onto the field. And while it may have seemed a little niche on its release in 2003, today with the common reuse of graveyard monsters, this card lets you draw an absurd amount of cards for playing the game normally, so it was obviously way too broken to keep in today's metagame. Our next one I hold dear to my heart, and it is Lysanders Trump card from X and Y Phantom Forces. This card was the first to be banned in the modern Pokemon TCG expanded format, and this card is broken because of the simple reason that if you have this card in your deck, you will basically never have a discard pile. The card says that each player shuffles all cards in his or her discard pile into his or her deck, and this essentially eliminates the draw out win condition. In Pokemon, losing by a draw out is a very real threat, and this card eliminates that win condition entirely. The effect of this card was so massive that it changed the whole meta to a more stall-based game for the whole 8 months until it was promptly banned. So you know how Pot of Greed is notorious for letting you draw 2 cards? Well, now imagine drawing triple that. Well, 6th Sense from Yu-Gi-Oh! Legendary Collection 4 is a card that does just that. The card makes you choose 2 numbers 1 through 6. Then, you roll a die. If it lands on one of the numbers you called, draw that many cards. And if not, discard the die's stated amount. And since discard decks are in the meta, this card really has 2 possible ways to fuel your deck. So at least on paper, this card seems like an easy no-brainer choice. And when compared to its fellow banned card Pot of Greed, this card seems like an easy ban. Next up is a card that I saw and was surprised it got past the development table. Wizards of the Coast must have been smoking some crazy stuff, because this was the most shocking card in the 20+ hours of research for this video. And that card is none other than Charizard from Magic the Gathering Arabian Nights. This card basically puts your game on pause, keeps everything as is, and then using the rest of your deck starts a completely new game of Magic. Yup, a completely new game. The loser of this subgame has to half their life points rounding down, and then continue the last game by shuffling and playing like nothing ever happened. This card wasn't banned because it was good, but rather because, well, it was just downright stupid. The card's mana cost is only 2 white mana, which means you can play this card pretty consistently, and then therefore multiply the length of many games. And it is genuinely one of the most interesting cards I've ever seen, but an insanely annoying card that should have never made it onto shelves. Before we get to the final card of the list, let's open up the Pokemon pack. The set we're going to be opening is called Double Blaze, and it has 2 banned cards in them, and hopefully we can pull them. With Yu-Gi-Oh! In the lead with the best pulls, hopefully Pokemon can maybe clutch out here. So as you can see with the last pack, we really didn't pull much but commons, and that's going to continue with this pack as well. So nothing all that great so far, and yeah, nothing's going to change with this pack either, but luckily in our next card pack, we would get a Honchkrow GX, which would be the best card so far. And then upon trying the card trick, this happened.
Oh my god! It's the... I'm so stupid!
So yes, we did end up pulling a banned card, and it was none other than Miss Maggie. And if you want to see why this card is banned, check the short in the description. But even with that card, it's going to leave Pokemon slightly out of reach out of number 1, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to take the dub for the best pull. But anyway, finally the last one on our list is the most infamous banned card ever, and the only card I knew before making this video, and that is the legendary Black Lotus. This card's notoriety stems not only from its ridiculously high price, but also its relevance in the card game. Unlike the first edition Holo Charizard from Pokemon, which is sought after for no other reason than it looks cool, the Black Lotus is not only valuable because of the small print run, but also because it's an insanely good card. This card allows you to add 3 mana of a single color into your mana pool, and then you discard the card. And this is all for 0 cost. Is this underwhelming? Yes and no. Getting 3 lands worth of mana on turn 1 unbalances the game deeply. This card lets you essentially play turn 4 cards on the first turn, so it can send your opponent into an uphill battle on just turn 1. Making you easily shred your opponent's life points early in the game, and ending games before they even start makes this the most broken ban card in my opinion. So yeah, these cards aren't fun to play against, so don't Don't be that guy. Anyway, here's a similar video to this one, and here's an anime figure review.